Hey everybody, Ed here, and I want to let you in on my secret weapon. I suppose it's not going to be that much secret after today, but it really allows me to get through and digest an extraordinary amount of information. It also aids me in, of course, doing what you've heard me say many times, which is doing social media standing up. So that way that when I'm sitting down in front of a computer, I'm really trying to create content, which is, of course, what this whole course is all about. And I'm not being distracted by social media. There's a time and place to go through your social media streams. And I think if you utilize the tools well, it becomes it becomes not a time waster. It becomes something that's a lot of fun, but it doesn't distract you. You can't fool yourself into thinking that you're actually doing work when you are not. So Instapaper is the tool that rules, and when you use it in conjunction with Google Reader and various other applications across all sorts of platforms, obviously I use iOS platforms like the iPad and the iPhone, but you can utilize this just as well on Android and other portable platforms as well. So what does Instapaper do? Well, let's have a look at the actual site. This is the instapaper.com site. There's your web address. If you go through and have a look at that, and you can see there on the website, there are a number of articles that I'm very interested to read. But the core element of Instapaper is that it's about saving articles that you don't have the time to read right now. Now, if you're in the queue at the bank, heaven help you, but if you are in that queue and you're looking through your Twitter feed and you see some interesting links and you think, oh, I really don't have time to read that right now, well, it's Instapaper to the rescue. Tap a button and it goes off to Instapaper and it's saved so that you can go and read it at a time that suits you. And of course, you can go and read it on the web, but there are many, many, many other options. So let me show you the Instapaper website. So here we are at the Instapaper website. You can see there's an interesting article there that I wanted to read. iPhone sells 5% of the world's phones. It has 20% of the revenues and 55% of the, so 5% of sales drives 55, over half the profits in mobile phones. Pretty impressive. However, that's not the point today. The point is, this will go and show you that particular article, which is fantastic. So if I click on that link and go and have a look at it, that's one way of doing it. Now, what I can do is, of course, just go and have a look at the text. And the beauty of the text is that, and this is my preferred way of looking at it, because look at that. Compared to the website, look at that. Pretty hard to read, right? I love the fact that with Instapaper, it just literally goes through and shows us the core information, which is just fantastic. So I can literally look through here. You can click here to view the original. You can go through, read the website. Now, what's interesting, it works very much like a Kindle. So if I finished halfway up this article, for example, and I flicked off it, flicked back to the page, like so, it would actually remember where I was at, which is pretty darn cool. So it would remember where I've been and it would let me know what's going on, which is just fantastic. So it just works just like a Kindle. So if you're halfway through an article, it'll save where you're at. So you're thinking, oh, okay, Ed, well, that's sort of cool, but, there you have it. Well, as you're going to see later on, when you start accessing this information on your mobile device, it becomes fabulous, because think about it. Imagine when you're on the run and when you're in mobile, like if it has to download all this other stuff here, how slow is that compared to just this content? So it's just such a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful time saver. You can also like the article, as I've just pressed there, the little love heart, which very cleverly stays there. And I can go back to Instapaper and I can archive it, and I'm going to talk about what that means in a minute. But first, let's talk about devices for a second, because I think you'll start to get an idea of how incredibly useful this is. So if we have a look at Instapaper, you can install this on your web browser, as I have, with this little read later button. You can literally drag that up to the toolbar in Chrome or Firefox or Safari, whatever you happen to be using. And anytime that you don't have time to read something, then you just click on it and it'll save it to Instapaper for you. If you use Google Reader on the desktop, which I know a lot of you do, then you can actually utilize the Read Later bookmarklet with any item that's selected, and that will automatically save it. So rather than having to read it now, you can go through it. Now, of course, on the iPhone and the iPad, and this is where it gets really quite sensational, and I'll show you this in a little while, a lot of applications work beautifully with Instapaper. I've got to mention a few favorites here. Flipboard is a wonderful, wonderful thing. I'm going to show you that in a minute. Also, a lot of the Twitter clients. I personally use Tweetbot, is my favorite on the Mac. Now, you can also do this on Android with links. You can actually install a system-wide little, I think they call them widgets, which allows you to hold your finger down on any link that you see and click read it later on Instapaper, and off it'll go and show you. But we'll show you these in detail, but it works a lot with it. And if you're on Twitter and you see, oh, that sounds like an interesting article, but you don't have the time right there and then to read it, bam, tap a button, off it goes to Instapaper. Now, if you've got a Kindle, and a lot of people have Kindles, it's really, really cool. You can actually have your Instapaper articles that you've saved downloaded on a daily or a weekly basis, so you can have them there to read on your Kindle if you're going on the plane or wherever you happen to be. Really is quite sensational. There are some extra applications which you can also use on the desktop, which will allow you to sync via the desktop as opposed to over the air, because of course you can be charged if you download stuff with the Kindle, so just keep in mind. So now I want to demonstrate how I use it on a daily basis. So let's go to the demo screen. All right, you're looking at one of my absolute favorite all-time applications, which is Flipboard, and this is on my iPad. And the reason I love Flipboard so much is it takes all my feeds like Facebook and Twitter. You can see it updating, even Google Reader, interestingly enough, and indeed folders. You can see my Vital Reads folders, which is my main core content, which I always want to look at. It brings that in to Flipboard and displays it in what is a really phenomenal, beautiful way. And let me show you my Twitter stream as an example of that. So here we are. We can have a look at, this screen, and we can have a look here, and we can see, it makes it like a magazine. It really is quite awesome. You can see I can flip over, literally make it like a magazine, which is really, really quite phenomenal. I can go in and ask, for example, I can have a look at if, I can reply to these Twitter feeds right inside here, which is just fantastic. But that's not why we're here today. We're not here for a Flipboard demonstration, as much as I love it. What I want to show you is, look, there's an interesting article which Andrew Nez has put in here. You can see Flipboard actually loads it up. If I drag it up there like that, you can see it actually loads it up. But if I don't have time to read that, which of course I don't, because sadly, not sadly, I love this. I'm recording this for you. What I'll do instead is that I will go up here and see this, tap Read Later. Okay, now you didn't see much happening really, but a lot has actually happened, as I'll show you. I'm going to go and have a look here, and you'll see that it's just updating at the moment. You can see there how I had that previous article which I read was there, but look at this. Here's these articles now coming in. There's that Chrome article that I had, and you can literally just tap, and look, there it is. And see, what I love about it is see how clean it is. And another thing I love about it too is, for example, here's a link. Following Google I Go, we got some hands-on time with the first Chromebook. Now, if I highlight that link, you can copy that link, which is great. But the thing that I really love is that you can just go and you can open it, or you can read it later. You can go and click on the Read Later button, so you don't actually have to worry about looking at it now, which is just fantastic. You know, if I wanted to read this article, I don't have to interrupt my flow. I think, oh, you know how many times you've gone through a web article and you think, oh, I'd like to go to that link, but I don't want to go away from it right now? No problem. Just hit read later and we're done. And you can do it. It's all in context there, which is just marvelous. See, look, there's that article that we just read there, which is just, which is fantastic. I could, you know, delete that. No article in Instapaper gets deleted, which is great because it acts like a big archive of articles that you were interested in. I can swipe off there and archive that one. And look, here's that 7 mistakes article. And see how wonderful it is to read. And of course, the beauty of all of this, folks, is this is all offline. I don't need to, once I've synced up, I don't need to be online. So it is like a magazine, which is fantastic. So that's how Instapaper works and how it works with all these various apps. For example, just to belabor the point, if I go into my Twitter app here, which you'll recall is another app which works with Instapaper. So here we have a Michelle McPherson link, and you see I just held down on that, and if I hit read later, because I've got Instapaper set up already, it's going to save that. Done. And if we go across to Instapaper, go have a look at the articles. Just do a refresh. Look at that, it's already there. And the article's there. It's so handy. But as you'll see very soon, it's just like the Ginsu Knives ad. Just wait, there's more. So now we're going to look at blogging with Instapaper. And this is a fabulous, well, I was going to say trick, but it's much more than a trick. It's just such a good way of curating your niche. One of the ways to become a market leader, and certainly your first tentative steps in terms of content creation, matter creation, are going to be with finding great, interesting tidbits in your market and publishing those on your blog and on your Facebook page and so on. So I want to take you through how I do that. And I often do it with Instapaper, and I'll show you why right now. But first of all, one thing that you do need to have set up is Posterous. Now, we've talked about Posterous a lot over the journey. It's a very useful site. The most important thing that you need to know about Posterous, and there's its web address there, good old posterous.com, is that it's incredibly easy to set up. But most importantly, it acts as a traffic cop. In other words, you can email information, links, blog posts, anything you like into Posterous. And depending on how you have Posterous set up, it will then forward that on to your blogs, your Facebook pages, although we don't recommend having anything put to your Facebook pages because you don't get the spread. Trust us, we'll come back to that. But Posterous is marvelous for, you know, sending photos to Flickr. It just makes it so easy because it just literally uses, you email anything that you want to do, and that's where it's going to become extremely advantageous. And so let's have a look. So the first thing you see here, I've logged into my Posterous account, and you can see I've got a couple of services set up, a Tumblr blog and my eddale.co blog. And adding a blog is as easy as clicking add a service and then picking these things. Now, there's a lot of things you can send this content out to. You know, many things. YouTube, Vimeo, Delicious, all these sorts of things. Huge number of things. For the purposes of today, I really want you to focus on the blog. And they make it so easy. You can see they work with all the major blog types, and you literally just have to type in your blog URL, your username, your password, and for 99 out of 100 of you, that's all you're going to need. You could get and look at some advanced options, and you can play around with this later on. Honestly, no need to do that. And you literally just hit the link, and you'll link your blog, just like I have here. So to give you an example of this, you'll see a post that I've just done here, why use images in blog posts and where to find them, or engage. These are a post which, yes, they're on my Posterous blog, but far more importantly, I want them to end up here on my blog. And the reason I use Posterous is because they come up looking so beautiful. So let me demonstrate how we do that. Okay, so here we are at that really interesting article on actionable information here, which is just fantastic. So I'm going to pick a really nice quote. Here's a great quote. So I've just literally held down my finger, and I'm going to select this quote. And get ready for this, folks. This is just pure awesome. I'm going to hit the share button. And you can see that there's a whole bunch of options that have come out. I can, open in Safari, email link with selection. I can email the full text to somebody. I can copy the link. I can do all of these things. I could post it to Twitter and post it to Facebook. But that's not what we want to do. For optimal leverage, we're going to do it in a very, very specific way. And that's why you set up your blog with Posterous. Let's have a look here. So, first of all, we're going to hit email link with selection. And look at what Instapaper has done already. It's put in a title, it's put in the copy, it's put in the link, and it's put in the quote. Now I'm just going to type something here. Okay, done. Now I'm going to send it off to post. And I'm going to hit send. That's it. It's done. That's all I need to do. And if we flick over to my blog, there you have it. In about a minute, it's published. But what's awesome is not only is it published, look how beautifully it's published. You've got the link, you've got the done as a quote, fabulous article, a real must read. Now, just to show you the full length and breadth of my process, what I'll do now is I'll click on that link, and then I'm going to select the whole link. I'm going to copy it, and then I'm going to bring up my Facebook page. Notice how I don't automate this. I do it manually. And I click link. I add in the, paste the link in there. Hit attach. And type something in. Hit share. And off we go. Just as a matter of interest, if you ever have the chance to cut and copy, and Posterous does a wonderful thing here, you can actually copy in a picture into your email and it'll automatically post that for you. It just makes these links that much more effective. Like anytime you add an image, like if you have a look, see how this has added an image there, which I did with Posterous as well. It just makes it stick out just that little bit more and you'll get more feedback and comments. But what's really cool is, of course, this is also tweeted as well. So, if I go back to my Twitter client here on my iPad, just because I can. Look at that at the top. Really superb post, a must read. So you can see how this is an extraordinary leveraged and automated process. So that you've got all of these links being created, you've got your content being spread, and you've got everything all sorted out there, which is just absolutely marvelous. So, we can go and we can have a look at the article, we can go and retrieve it, we can do all of those sorts of things. So you can just see how powerful this whole process is. It's got some great articles, the old Cornwall SEO too. So there you have it. That is using Instapaper for leverage. So even if you're just using Instapaper for its core purpose, which is, of course, just to save and read articles for when you've got some time to reading, of course, it's fabulous. But when it really comes into its own is that you can take that core functionality and then use it to really spread awesome content, stuff that matters, actionable information, dare I say it, if I can borrow the phrase from Cornwall SEO, into your marketplace. And as you'll see again and again throughout this course, how important that is.